Welcome to Conversational Currency. I'm your host, Shadeed Eleazer. Now, Conversational Currency is the fastest growing platform that covers the value and importance of social skills for business in a digital era. Now, this particular segment is the Behind the Brand segment, where we go into the why behind the what of today's leading thought leaders in business, entertainment, and society at large. Now, on today's broadcast, we have a featured special guest. Now, my audience tonight, we like to know the why behind the what. So please introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your story.
All right, I can do that. Greetings, family. My name is Tanei Ricks. I have a PhD in organic chemistry from the University of Tennessee, Knoxville, and I have a bachelor's degree in chemistry with a biochemistry focus from Augusta State University. I have been doing chemistry in some form or fashion for about 9 years now, and it's been great. I really enjoy science. I enjoy doing STEM in general. STEM field is very important. Especially for Black America as a whole. You know, if you want to compete in this global market, you have to be STEM literate. So that's one of the reasons why I continued on through my PhD. Currently reside in Atlanta, moving to Midtown in about May-ish. Currently an adjunct professor of chemistry at two different schools in the Atlanta area. And I have a growing Twitter brand, which is how I met Shadeed. Shadeed's been excellent, been a mentor from afar. So I'm very happy to be on this segment right now and chopping it up with him.
Okay. Now, ladies and gentlemen, fun fact. I once lived on the campus of University of Tennessee, Knoxville. They did not have a coffee maker. And because they liked me so much, no one drinks coffee at University of Tennessee. And they actually bought me a coffee maker. So thanks.
Nice.
Institute of Agriculture. I have not forgot about you, great ladies and gentlemen. Now, let's talk about the science of creating your own opportunity. Tanei, when did you first realize that life and results weren't the luck of the draw or coincidental?
So this has been something that's been ongoing, but it's really something that I've basically jumped headfirst into lately. So when I graduated, I moved to Atlanta, moved in with my girlfriend at the time, and I was unemployed for 7 months. And, you know, after sending out so many applications, so many resumes, 400 or 500, and people, when I tell them that, they're just like, what? How are you not able to find a job? You have a PhD in chemistry. And I'm like, yeah, that's true. But people don't tell you when you go into chemistry specifically for a PhD that the market is kind of saturated as far as like opportunities for people that are available, because a lot of the opportunities for PhD chemists are in higher education. They're in academia. Once somebody locks down a tenure spot, they're not trying to leave. So you have this wave of people that are coming out with PhDs. And if you essentially pick the wrong chemistry discipline, it's going to be very difficult for you to find a job. Unfortunately, I was one of those people that picked the wrong chemistry discipline. I'm an organic chemist, and I am specifically a bioorganic chemist. So it's hard for me specifically because my beliefs about pharmaceuticals and about the environment don't align with mainstream wisdom about organic chemistry. I'm very much off the beaten path in that way. So it was very difficult for me to find a conventional job that I wanted to, like working with the factory or working with the company. The other part of that too is that a lot of people don't tell you is that when you get a PhD, it's now becoming increasingly popular, and not even just popular, but mandatory for you to do a postdoc. So a postdoc is a postdoctoral research position. And essentially you go back into the research realm, but you just have your PhD. And it gives you the opportunity to sharpen some skills that you didn't have the opportunity to do in grad school. So in order for you to get into a lot of these top tier companies, if you don't know anybody, then you have to have a postdoc. You have to have postdoc experience. I don't have postdoc experience because I just graduated. So I looked around and, a lot of things happened within that period. long story short, I got to a point in my life where I was just like, man, I suffered through 9 years of school. And I feel like I have nothing to show for it at this point. Like, there's a lot of internal turmoil, because it's like, you do what they tell you to do as far as like going to school to try to get a good job, but it doesn't pan out that way. And nobody, I don't have anybody in my family that has a PhD. I'm the first person in my family to get a PhD. And I'm the first person in my family to graduate from a STEM discipline in any form or fashion. So I don't have that blueprint to say, oh, well, you need to do this, you need to do that in order to secure a job. Everything was on my own. I also don't have any hardcore entrepreneurs in my family. So a lot of things I had to learn were from scratch. And so I just got to a point where I was like, you know what? This world is not going to give you an opportunity. It doesn't matter how many credentials you think you have. It doesn't matter how much work you think you've done. The work is never done. If somebody is not giving you an opportunity, you need to create one. So within the past, I would say 2 to 3 months, did a lot of soul searching, did a lot of just self-improvement, did a lot of gaining more skills and just becoming more confident in myself. Because when you're a man and you go out of work that long, it really affects you, because it's like, I'm not doing the basic things I need to do to be a man, especially you're in a relationship with somebody at that time. So it's like you feel like you're failing on all fronts. And so that's essentially what ended up happening to me. But in this experience and having that happen to me, I found the confidence to really just go for it. And looking at my social media following, I was like, man, I'm not using this right. Like, I'm on here too much to not be getting paid from this. I am not using this right. So the thing that really got me jump started with trying to create my own opportunities was I went on a juice fast I want to say it was like the end of January, early February. I went on a week-long juice fast. And I got inspired by some of the people that I follow on Twitter. And I chronicled the results on Twitter. Like, every day I would get up and, like, oh, I made this juice today. I'm going to go do this, blah, 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 blah. And what I noticed was a lot of people were following along. And I'm like, yo, this is really cool. Like, I didn't really expect this, but this is a really cool opportunity. And at the end of it, I just went back and looked through the thread, and I just saw so many people just like, oh my God, you inspired me to do this. This is awesome. I have hope. I have a blueprint. I'm going to start this next week. Your results are amazing. I'm really inspired to do this. And when I saw that, I was just like, I got something here. I really have something here. People are really following along with this, and the value here is just incredible. I can get paid off of this. This is my opportunity. This is something that I want. And the crazy thing is that when I first decided to go get my PhD, I wanted to build my own platform to help other people empower themselves. I thought it would be in a capacity of like traveling around the country and doing like seminars and stuff like that. But once I realized that my Twitter page was my platform, that's when everything started to click. And I was like, okay, I have the platform that I want. I just wasn't using it right. So now I'm in the space where I'm like, okay, this is my classroom. Not only is this my classroom, this is my webinar platform. This is, my ability to kind of talk to people. Twitter is my help desk, essentially. And I can do whatever I want to from it. I can provide value from it. I can create my own opportunities from it. And the only thing I have to do is just step out and be my authentic self. And in finding my authentic self, I found something in this social media realm that has allowed me to create my own opportunities. And I am forever just appreciative of all the support that I've gotten. And I'm really thankful that I had the time to be able to cultivate that and realize the kind of platform I had to affect so many people's lives. And it's been a great experience so far. And I'm looking forward to more of it happening.
Excellent. So, ladies and gentlemen, what we've learned from Tanei's story is that even in the, let's say, pit of despair, whether it's unemployment or you have a meteoric rise or a milestone of success, there's oftentimes moments of self-reflection that are needed. And out of our greatest adversity comes the seed of hope or the way to take a step forward. So if you're watching and listening to this broadcast and you're going through a tough time, you're going through a storm, take a step back. And as Tanei did with his juice fast especially, it gave some clarity. And during those moments of just soul searching, was able to discover the next steps and feedback by just taking action and moving forward. Now, tonight we live in what I consider to be the greatest era of opportunity that has ever existed from a scientific standpoint, because I have a PhD in this conversation. Please give us the breakdown in terms of how our ideas can manifest into reality. The same way you leverage, let's say with Twitter and other platforms, how can someone who is watching and they have an idea, they may be bright and ambitious, how do they make it happen for themselves?
The big thing is that you have to just connect with yourself unflinchingly. So I recently listened to this audiobook. It's called The Way of the Superior Man. It's by David Data. I highly recommend it for any man that's listening to this broadcast right now. It's a very excellent book. And one of the things that he suggests is to sit in stillness and sit in silence and think about if you knew you only had 3 days to live, what is it that you would do in service to the rest of man? That is your sole purpose. When you figure out what your sole purpose is, then you're connected to your true desires and your true nature. And when you're connected to that nature, you can be your authentic self. And when you're connected to your authentic self, you give yourself freely. The thing that holds a lot of people back is a lot of people are scared of ridicule. They're afraid of being critiqued by other people. But what you don't understand is that when you're giving from a place of authenticity, you're giving from a place of honesty, people resonate with that. And not only that, you resonate with yourself. So it doesn't really matter like the outside noise that's going on. None of that matters. You have to put yourself out there. And the thing that I have learned with being this new authentic person is that, I mean, not saying I wasn't authentic before, but I am more connected to myself than I've ever been before. And in realizing that, it's just like when you become that connected, you begin to love yourself. And when you love yourself, you don't really care about everybody else's opinion about you because you know what you're doing, you know what you're working towards, you know what you're striving toward. And not only that, people feel that honest, authentic energy coming from you. Like I had somebody on Twitter the other day. I was just out, for St. Patty's Day, just kind of celebrating, basically. I had worked hard that week, so I'm like, man, I'm gonna go out. Like I've been in the house, teaching, building stuff all week. I gotta relax. So I went out, took a couple pictures, and just trying to be in the moment. And I tweeted a couple of them out, and one of my followers was like, "Man, Tanei's energy in this photo is ridiculously high." And that's the thing about authenticity. People can see authenticity in you. People can see when you have that glow. People can see when you're being that honest, authentic, just caring, sharing person. And a lot of people, especially men, they're being told it's like, oh, you can't be too vulnerable and this and that, blah, blah, blah. But the thing is that vulnerability for men is different than it is in women. When a man is vulnerable, a man is able to give himself freely in service to the world. That's a man's vulnerability. So when a man is able to actually embrace that, it makes him that much more masculine. It makes him that much more powerful. So for myself specifically, and if somebody is trying to tap into a specific idea, be yourself. Don't worry about what everybody else is doing. The problem with social media, this is like the great paradox of social media now. Everything is saturated. There, you can find 100 channels about the same exact thing, people doing the same exact thing, talking about the same exact topics. But people start these channels because there's something different about them. There's something different about you that makes you who you are. People don't buy what you do. They buy why you do it. And the part of you that is the why is you being connected to yourself. Because when you have a purpose, when you have an authentic vibe coming off of you, people can sense why you're doing something. And if that's something that resonates with them, they will gravitate towards your idea. They will gravitate towards your service because they know that what you're offering is coming from an authentic place. So if you have an idea, don't wait. Don't wait for it to be perfect. Don't wait for, a blessing or a verification from anybody. My biggest thing is I don't wait on verification from anybody anymore. I verify myself. Everything that I do on my Twitter page, everything I do on my website, everything I do on my blog is verified by me. That's good enough. I don't need verification from anybody else. You don't need anybody to tell you that you're good enough to do something. You being here and you having the resources that you have automatically says that you're good enough. Do not wait for anybody else to validate your idea, because if you wait for somebody else to validate your idea, you're going to have 10 people telling you that you can't do it. Say yes to everything. Just get started. Don't worry about it being perfect. Just put yourself out there. Perfect example. I started my website, I want to say 2 weeks ago. I am still adding things to my website to this day. I'm still changing things about my website to this day. If I would have waited until it was perfect, I just did an interview with Catherine Kerrigan. She's the president of Unlimited Energy now. If I would have waited to do my website until it was absolutely perfect, I would have missed that interview, because I would have had nothing to talk about at the meetup that I went to where I met her. The moral is always say yes, especially if it's an opportunity for you to do something. Commit to everything. Commitment is the thing that drives you to really put your ideas out there and put them forth into fruition. That's something that I learned from listening to the 10X Rule. It's a book by Grant Cardone. Excellent book for anybody that's trying to get into the entrepreneurial game. Say yes, commit to everything. Don't worry about fear. Be your authentic self. Those would be the things I would tell somebody. If they're trying to manifest an idea from their head, those are the things that you really need to key in on. And just verify yourself. Don't wait for anybody else to do it for you.
Powerful. Now, in terms of resources, The Way of the Superior Man by David Data, also the 10X Rule by Grant Cardone are great books that I encourage you guys to go and pick up. Very powerful point that Tanei mentioned in terms of validating yourself in not waiting for the perfect time, the perfect temperature, the perfect weather in order to take your idea and launch it into existence. What we do in so many cases is we tell ourselves a story that ultimately disqualifies us from becoming the best version of ourselves that we can be. So we say, well, my website isn't ready, or I don't have enough followers, or I don't have enough experience. Meanwhile, the person who is quote unquote too dumb to realize that they are not qualified is the one who is just taking that step forward in getting the opportunity. So there's a lot of gems that you can gain from that. Put yourself on and give yourself validation. I'll give a quick example in terms of this platform, Conversational Currency. This started from simply having conversations with thought leaders that I respected. It started from a favor of a publicist that I've known for 10, 15 years. And she said, you stop doing interviews. Here's a person that I want you to interview. And so I dusted myself back off of, I said, well, I'm not interviewing anymore. Or I'm not good at this anymore, or I'm not current anymore. I would have lost that opportunity, because once I took a step forward and said, okay, I'll do the favor. What started to happen is the momentum of just taking that step forward led to other opportunities, which leads me to my next point in terms of how you utilize Twitter. You are a Twitter maestro, my friend. So we need to pick your brain a little bit in detail. So
okay.
You are, I've been watching, and you have a way of taking your ideas and building momentum around the ideas, either through Periscope or as well as Twitter as well. So take us through how you utilize Twitter in terms of, all right, this is my audience, I'm going to deliver value to them, and how that manifests into this continuous circle of opportunity, of success, of prosperity.
All right, so I gotta preface this by saying that I used to be an extreme SJW on Twitter. And for people that don't know what SJW is social justice warrior. I used to be in all the threads arguing about, social justice issues and all of this, So when I really realized that, it was a poor utilization of time, I was just like, man, I really need to figure, like, I have these followers. Around this time, I was probably around, I'd probably say like 1,800 followers. And I was like, okay, I really need to just create value. Like, this other stuff doesn't matter. All of these things are going to continue to go on. It's smoke and mirrors. It's a dog and pony show. A lot of it is distractions. I'm not even going to feed into it anymore. What can I do to platform to actually empower people and get them to the point they need to be where we can stop arguing about this stuff? So I started with just, dropping basic science knowledge about things. Those threads kind of picked up a little bit. So I dropped it under the hashtag TSP So TSP Sci was basically where I started doing a lot of my threads, and that was at the tail end of grad school. So TSP stands for the Segregationist Papers. That's the name of my podcast. And that podcast is basically just talking about, Black empowerment issues and, really just trying to get Black people caught up to speed on the things that are happening in our community and what we need to be able to do to compete in the global community from here and beyond. So, I have a lot of people that are on Twitter that I've met through Twitter that are doing progressive things in the Black community. So that's where the TSP comes for. And the side part was basically just me utilizing my biochemistry knowledge to really talk about things that people don't normally talk about or don't have a scope to talk about. So the thing that made it unique for me was that I really am just raw. I'm a raw person. I'm an uncut person. I say whatever comes to my mind, and it really makes me authentic in that way. And it's very interesting to see somebody that is cut from an academic cloth really use everyday jargon and really use everyday language, because I tell people all the time that the hard part about communicating science is actually talking to people like they're people and not talking to them like they're scientists. I try to talk to everybody like they're a person, including other scientists, because your idea doesn't matter if you can't communicate it. What you think doesn't matter if you can't communicate it. If people don't understand what you're saying, then they're not going to understand how it's applicable to them and how it can actually enhance their life. So I take that approach, and I also just kind of put my own flair with it. I'm a country boy. I'm from the South, born and raised in Georgia. And a lot of the slang that I use is Southern slang. A lot of the things that I say they're Southern terms. So it gives me my own flair. It gives me my own personality. And the thing is, when you meet me in person, I talk the same way. I talk the same exact way. I'm obviously respectful when I'm around other people as far as using certain words that we're not going to say on this broadcast. But when I do talk about these things, it resonates with people because they know I'm being honest. They know that I'm not filtering this through anybody else's medium. I'm not the kind of person that's going to fake the funk. I'm going to be me 100% of the time. Yes, I'm a chemist. Yes, I have a PhD, but I'm a person first and foremost. I have my own experiences. I have my own values. I have my own things that I hold dear to me, and I have my own way of conversing with people in order to transmit my ideas. So in doing that and just being somebody that is always willing to put themselves out there, that's really how I grew my Twitter following, and really just, being willing to stand on my square and say, this is what I believe in. I don't really care if you like it or if you don't like it, you can catch this block. I'm not my ideas are not up for debate most of the time because I know what I'm talking about. And one of the things that I learned about growing your Twitter following is you engage with the people that engage with you. Like, if you have people that are actively reaching out to you and saying like, hey, what do you think about this? Or, oh, I think something would be better if you actually took this approach. Or, thank you for the content that you provide. Like, I get a lot of people DMing me and thanking me on a daily basis, just thanking me for the value that I provide. And, I'm forever appreciative of that. And the thing that really took me to the next level was just continuing to be my authentic self and continuing to live life. You cannot provide value to other people if you're not living life. You can't provide value to people from your couch, period. You can't do it. You have to get outside and live life. You have to get outside and talk to people. I actually wrote about this on my blog last week. I have a section called Thoughtfulness Thursday, where basically I just kind of go through the things that people need to do in order to be more thoughtful and be more in the moment about what's going on around them. And so I'm a person, I love to volunteer. Like if there's a volunteer event around, I'm trying to get in it. I'm trying to talk to people, I'm trying to help people. So here in Atlanta, there's a park here called Piedmont Park, and they have an organization called the Piedmont Park Conservancy. So they ran an event called the Doggy Dash 5K, and it's basically just people, they come out, they run a 5K with their dog. Cool. So I went to that event, and it was raining outside, and one of the photographers there, they didn't have his stuff set up, so he came and stood up under my umbrella with me. And so we were kind of talking, and I was asking him, I was like, hey, so how is because he's a freelance photographer. I'm like, how is the freelance gig or the freelance market in Atlanta? He was like, it sucks. The market's completely oversaturated. Instagram, Facebook is killing everybody. And I was talking, and like when he said that, it was interesting because it was like, well, the first thing that popped in my mind was like, I don't really know. Like, we know that things are saturated, but you just haven't done anything to separate yourself from everybody else. Yeah, he was like, yeah, you're right. He couldn't really deny it. But it was interesting to catch that point of view because I'm not a photographer. I don't know anything about photography. I take a couple random pictures for Facebook and Twitter. That's it. I don't know anything about this. So talking to somebody else outside of my field gave me a window into how other people are living, because everybody's not a chemist. Everybody's a person at the end of the day, but everybody's not a chemist. So getting the opportunity to listen to other people's stories helps you immensely because they may have a different point of view that you've never considered before. So getting out and talking to people more and creating this blog has really driven more people to my Twitter page because I'm able to provide more value by having these experiences and documenting them and showing tangible evidence of just me being a regular person exploring the things that are around me. It gives people a chance to live through that vicariously and say, ooh, this is something I might want to do. It's like, oh, this is something I've never considered before. This might be something I want to integrate into my own mental inventory, So when I wanted to really drive my Twitter brand, I started looking at the things that people gravitated towards. So people started gravitating towards my science tweets. They liked some of my law of attraction tweets and the improving health tweets. So those are the things that I kind of stuck with, and those are the things that I would just continue to tweet about. And I would tweet about things in a controversial way, not so much where it's just like, it's just inflammatory, where it's just like, obviously I'm trolling, but it's just like, okay, I have a very hard stance on this, and this is how I feel, and I'm going to put it out there raw and uncut. And the thing about that is it creates a measure of polarity. And that is needed when you're trying to establish a brand. You have to make somebody feel something. And in order for you to do that, you have to create a certain amount of polarity. You can't be neutral. People don't trust people that are neutral. If you see somebody that's just go along to get along, oh, yeah, that's fine. Yeah, we can do that. And they just go with any idea that comes around, that's very inauthentic. That's very dishonest. People do not resonate with people that are neutral, period. They don't. You have to have some measure of polarity in you in the things that you talk about in order to make somebody feel something. That's how you grow a following. You have to make people feel a certain way about you. I am blocked by people I've never met on Twitter. On the other hand, I also have people that DM me every day telling me how much I've influenced their life. So I have created that kind of polarity where it's like, okay, there's some people that hate me. There's some people that love me. This is where I want to be. Because as long as I have that positive and negative tension going on my page, I'll never stop being able to create value. And I'll always have somebody that's looking for me. So doing that and really knowing what I talk about, being a master of some kind of subject brings you a kind of confidence that you can't buy. You can't fake confidence. Well, let me take that back. You can't fake confidence for a prolonged period of time. You can fake it for like a day, maybe a week, but for a prolonged period of time, you can't fake confidence. And confidence comes from mastery. I have mastered chemistry. I have mastered organic chemistry. So whenever I talk about something from a chemical aspect, I know exactly what I'm talking about. And I have the knowledge and the evidence and the expertise and the research and the work and the action put into it to a point where I have this confidence radiating from me whenever I tweet something. So you must develop a skill that you're competent with, and you must develop it to a level of mastery in order for you to have the confidence necessary to transmit your ideas in a way that will create polarity. Because when you stand on your square, when you know exactly what you're talking about, and you know that there's no way anybody can argue you down, you say it with a little measure of arrogance. And that little measure of arrogance gives you just enough polarity to engage enough people in one way or the other. People might be upset about the way you say it. People might really rock with the way that you say it. Like the other day, I tweeted out, and I don't know if you're going to blur this out, but I'm just going to go ahead and say it. Like, I tweeted out the other day, I was like, somebody said, or somebody was asking me about God the other day. And it was basically like, do you believe in God? And in my mind, I was like, yeah, of course I believe in God. I am God, ho. Like, what are you talking about? You know, so it's like, when I say those things like that, people really resonate with that because that's my authentic self. Like, that's how I talk. That's how I come across to people. So being your authentic self, be polarizing. And it's not even polarizing. Like, you got to be funny, or you got to be a scumbag, or, you know, you got to be a troll. You don't have to be any of those things. You just have to create enough polarity between your ideas and other people in order for them to transmit in a way that will actually resonate with them. So those would be the things that I really use to drive my Twitter following, and just, you know, just show people like, hey, you know, I'm a regular dude too. Yeah, I have a PhD. That's great. But at the same time, I like doing ratchet stuff too. I like turning up. I like going to the gym. I like going out and being around people. I like going out and just experiencing the world. Like, it's so much out here to do and so many people to connect with, and I'm trying to do all of it. So, and I'm just bringing people along on the ride with me now. So that's where I'm at.
A masterclass, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you were taking notes. Take notes. Watch the replay of this, for this particular section is gold. When you talk about, let's say, just taking a subject that is often unattainable by most people and breaking it down into common language. A name that comes to mind is Gary Vaynerchuk, Gary V. And his claim to fame many years ago, late 90s, early 2000s, was taking his father's wine business, and he was the first wine blog on YouTube. Mm-hmm. And so in the wine world, everything's so pretentious and white glove and tuxedo, and he just broke it down. And have his New York Jets hat on and just talk about wine from a common theme and a common language. And there's some similarities in your path and progression with, let's say, chemistry and science that Gary V has with wine. And also when you mention, let's say, polarity, so many people are the voices that come up when someone says, I want to start a blog, or I want to build my brand, or I want to increase my Twitter followers. The whole idea is, what if someone comes out the woodwork and says, you're wrong, or you're not an expert, or so on and so forth. And that's where just standing on your square, as you mentioned, comes into play. And there's no substitute for simply knowing what you're talking about. Mm-hmm. And when you mention mastery, that can be based on hours of research, but it's also based on experience. So if you're not, let's say, the utmost or uppermost expert, if you've been down a certain path and you've tried and you failed, that's credibility that can be conveyed through authenticity that most people, let's say, leave out. So there's a lot of great lessons in what you've shared in terms of how you view your presentation and look online versus who you are in the real world. And there's a synergy and a chemistry and alignment that exists with that. Now let's transition into, because you give a lot of value online, but you've also taken your thoughts and molded it into the Mastering the Law of Attraction course. And what I like about it right away is the external exercises. For example, solution-oriented thinking. How does complaining or focusing on what's going wrong, from your perspective, how does that block people's blessings?
Man, so we have, and it's part of it is because of school. So we have this extreme obsession with negation language. And I actually wrote a blog about this the other day. It's called Why You Must Mind Your Focus. It's up on TaneiRicks.com, so check that out. But the focus that a lot of us have is on the nots and the no's, and that's called negation language in American English and in American English grammar. So when you speak about negation language, I call it protest language. And protest language focuses on what you don't want versus what you actually do want. So one of the examples that I gave in the blog was, take these two sentences, for example. You have, I want to win versus I don't want to lose. The focus of both of those sentences is different, even though you think you're talking about the same thing. When you say I want to win, your focus is on winning. That's the subject of your sentence. When you say I don't want to lose, the focus of that sentence is on losing. So that's the subject of the sentence. So you're much more likely to lose when you say I don't want to lose versus saying I want to win. When you focus on winning, you focus on all of the aspects and all the attributes that are necessary in order for you to win. When you don't focus on winning, or so when you focus on losing, you focus on all the attributes and aspects necessary for you to lose. And that's why it's much more likely for you to lose than for you to win. Perfect example, when we talk about football. When you get into the last minutes of a game, you're trying to preserve a lead. A lot of teams will play what's called prevent defense. And now the joke is that the only thing prevent defense does is prevent you from winning a game. And it's because it's born from the idea of not wanting to lose versus just going and playing your normal game and saying, this is what got us here, so this is what we're going to continue to do. This is what's going to make us win. We're going to switch up the ideology here and do something that minimizes risk. And when you start to try to minimize risk and try to be risk averse, that's generally when the things that you don't want to happen to you actually start happening. Mm-hmm. So you have to mind your focus. You have to focus on what it is you actually want. You have to focus on the things that you are actually trying to manifest. Your focus is very important. There are a lot of things that are outside in the world that try to colonize your focus. TV, music, sports, video games, entertainment, anything that tries to sell you something, advertisements, books, everybody's trying to give you an idea. And I'm not saying that that's a bad thing. It can be a good thing. It can be a bad thing. What I'm trying to say is that it will change your focus. And if you're changing your focus onto what you want, you're much more likely to actually manifest it because you start associating everything that you need to do with the specific goal. The flip side is also true. If you focus on what you don't want and then you treat that as your goal, you actually start doing the things necessary in order for you to get that negative attribute. This is why I always say nothing in your life happens without your consent. Everything that's happened to you at this point has been a direct result of what you think about and what you focus on. That's sobering for a lot of people because some people will look around at their life and say, this isn't what I want. If that's not what you want, focus on what you do want and realize that everything that you have at this point is an energetic residual of things that you've thought in the past. Everything that we're talking about now is a fleeting moment. Every word that comes out of my mouth is an energetic residual of something that I thought up here first. So it's not even something that's original within the past 5 seconds, which means that anything that you transmit right now, anything that people see right now, is something that is fleeting from something that you thought previously. That lets you know that you have immense power to change whatever it is you're going through right now in your situation by simply changing your thoughts, which change your ability to act. And when you change your ability to act and the things that you act upon, that changes your life. And that's the simple secret to living a deliberate life. Focus on what you want. Don't focus on what you don't want. Get away from the knots. Get away from the negation language. My thing with negation language is unless you're trying to convey that something actually didn't happen. So like say somebody asked you, like, did the bus come yet? No, the bus hasn't come yet. All right, bet. Use your negation language. And if you're protesting something by saying like, I don't want this, you're only bringing it closer to you. The universe doesn't hear no. The universe hears what you focus on. And the more you focus on something, the more it manifests.
Now, you mentioned in one external exercise the importance of outside expertise in order to solve problems. Explain how people and the people around us help us to manifest that which we intend to happen.
So you're the sum total of the 5 people that you hang around most, right? But in that, they have insights into you that you may not have. So everybody talks about the forest and the trees analogy. Well, if you're always in the forest, then, or if you're the singular tree inside of the forest and only thing you can see around you is other trees, then it takes sometimes somebody else to walk in and say, oh, okay, something's a little bit different here. Because once you start seeing things regularly, it becomes normal to you. So one of the things that proves that, there's a scientific term called olfactory fatigue. So olfactory deals with your nose. So after you smell something for a prolonged period of time, your nose cancels it out. It's just like, okay, we smelled this already. Like, we're good. We don't need to smell this anymore. The same thing happens with your eyes. Your eyes actually filter. I think it's a very high number. You actually only see about 20 to 30% of what's actually in your immediate surroundings. So your eyes cut out a lot of junk that you don't want to see because it's distracting. So in your body having these shortcuts, sometimes you get short-sighted or you get tunnel vision, and it's harder for you to examine yourself, especially when you're working on building something or you're working on creating something. Having people in your circle that aren't yes men, having people in your circle that are willing to hold you accountable for the things that you do is a very good thing, because it forces you to self-assess even when you don't think you have to. And it brings out things in you. And it's like, okay, if this person is seeing this and I trust this person, this must be something that I need to correct, or this must be something I need to take into consideration. So let me do that. So having those people around you, especially, do not surround yourself with yes men. That again goes back to neutrality. You don't want to have people around you that are neutral. You can't trust people that are neutral, because if they're not going to stand for anything, they'll fall, or if they don't stand for something, they'll fall for anything. Don't trust people that are neutral. So yes men are neutral. They just want the residuals of whatever it is that you're creating. Don't have yes men on your team. Get them out of here. And if you're a yes man, stop. if you're a yes man, stop that today. Don't be a yes man. Doesn't matter who you piss off. You need to piss somebody off in order to make them feel something about you. So don't be a yes man, and don't surround yourself with yes men. So when you find people that are trustworthy, you find people that actually want the best for you, you find people that have a vested interest in you succeeding and being a good person and being the best person that you can be, those are the people that are going to give you the most actionable advice. And sometimes it's stuff that you don't want to hear, but you need to understand that if you trusted them enough to be in your circle, they're not going to tell you something that is going to derail you. They're not going to tell you something to make you fail. So take that into consideration. Talk to people like, hey, what do you think about when I do this? Or how do you feel when I do this thing? Or do you think that this thing is right for me? I will also say that your gut feelings are correct more often than not. So if somebody's giving you advice that kind of conflicts with your internal guidance system, you generally want to stay with your internal guidance system. But don't be afraid to take their advice under consideration. At least think about it. At least think about it and say, okay, maybe this is something that's going on. If your gut tells you something different, okay, then you can let it fly. But at least having that mirror held up to you to say, hey, this might be something that you want to look at. If it's something that you at that point figure out, okay, it's not really that big a deal. My gut's telling me something different. Cool. But at least having those people that are going to hold you accountable for the things that you may or may not be doing, that's extremely important. And as far as like manifesting the things that you want, it helps you regain your focus, and it helps you center your focus on the things that matter versus the things that don't matter, or developing the things that matter, because you could be underdeveloped in something, not realize that you have somebody else on your team that's highly developed in that, and they tell you, hey, you need to spend more time developing this, because once you develop that, then you can go ahead and go on to this step. So having a well-rounded, diversified team and having people around you that you trust that will give you the game the way that you need to get it is very important in manifesting the life that you want.
Yes. Greatness is not built on an island. You have to connect. You have to bring on people who, as Tanei said, who will cause a reaction. And sometimes, I surround myself with friends that are brutally honest. And when people hear us in our environment, in our element, they say, well, oh, that's so harsh. But I'd rather hear it from my friends than to hear it from 5,000 people on a stage or on a podcast or just general public. And so it's best to have the people who care about you most tell you the things that you need to hear, not to protect your precious ego, but to give you the medicine that's necessary for you to grow. Now, mastering law of attraction. Tell us why this course will help people learn, grow, and experience life in a different way, and where we can find it.
All right, so my Mastering Law of Attraction course is a guided PowerPoint presentation. And basically, the course is focused on retraining you from the brain up or brain down, however you want to say it. Everything that manifests in this realm starts in your mind first, whether it's a bad thought or a good thought. We bring these things down into tangible form, and then we start work on them, and then they manifest into something greater. This course teaches you that a lot of the things that we've been taught about how we're supposed to interact with our own mind, because a lot of people don't realize that your mind isn't the thing that's doing all the thinking for you. You're just grabbing thoughts from your mind. So when you learn how to interact with it, and it's like, oh, okay, this thought is here, and you learn how to interact with your thoughts while not becoming them, that's when you really got a recipe for success, because you can look at things for what they are and say, okay, I have this thought. Why am I having this thought? Not, I have this thought, so this must be who I am. That's a very important distinction to make. And so step one, or section one in the course, is called brain retraining. So I basically just go through your thoughts, your speech, your actions, and how they are all connected to each other, and how it's very important for you to cultivate it from your thoughts first, because your thoughts guide everything else. Your thoughts guide your speech guides your action. And the important thing, especially about speech, is that when you talk, I talk about things on your body as gates. So if you think about the gates that are on your body, you have all your important gates are on your face, your eyes, your nose, your mouth, and your ears. Your mouth, and any gate that's on your body that information comes into and out of, you have to be especially vigilant about protecting. Your mouth is one of them, because you input information in the form of food, and you output information in the form of your speech. So it's very important that you guard your mouth. When you talk, if there's nobody else in the room, somebody heard you, because you have ears that can hear what you're saying. So when you speak negative things or you speak positive things, your mind hears it. And your mind will start to replay this. Your mind will start to think about it subconsciously. And the more you start to speak it, the more it starts to come into existence. I'm not good enough. I can't do this. Everybody else is so much better at this than me. Your mind hears that, and it starts to play out in your subconscious. And the more your subconscious is programmed, the more it guides your conscious thought and your conscious action. So section one is really about retraining the way that you think about things, retraining the way that you speak, and retraining the way that you act. Because again, we focus a lot on negation language, and that negation language is one of the biggest barriers to us blocking our blessings. So that's section one in a nutshell. I go through a lot of exercises to get you on the path of the right way that you should think. And, there's an end of chapter assessment. There's a PDF worksheet that you can work on with self-affirming thoughts, and using those self-affirming thoughts in situations that you may have right now, where you may be going through a difficult time, that you can actually apply it to. So it's very practical in order for you to be able to put these things into practice and use them on a daily basis. Section two is about deliberate manifesting. So deliberate manifesting is really about, once you've retrained your brain, it's like, okay, what am I focusing on? What is it that I want to manifest in my life? So I talk about a victimhood mindset. Victimhood mindset is a major barrier in manifesting the life that you want, because when you're a victim, you relinquish all your power. When you're a victim and you say that somebody is stopping you from doing something, or I can't do this because this person won't let me, you're also giving them credit for the things that you have right now. Because if somebody's stopping you from getting something, they must be allowing you to have something. So when you separate yourself from that idea, you start to realize your own power. And you start to realize, okay, I have the power to change this circumstance. I may not have as many resources as the other person has. Don't worry about that. I don't have the resources of a Bill Gates. That's not stopping me from putting my information out on the internet every day. So you don't worry about what somebody else has. When you're focused on what somebody else has, you're playing a losing game, because you don't know what else is going on behind the scenes. Only thing you see is their highlight reel, period. You know what's going on behind your scenes. You know what you're doing. You know the kind of work that you're putting in. That's all you need to focus on. You focus on being you and doing you. That's it. Don't let that other negativity seep into your mind. It's not going to do anything to help you progress. So drop the victim mindset. The victimhood mindset is not going to help you. It's also going to mess your relationships up. When you constantly think about yourself as being attacked or being a victim of something, it's harder for you to connect with other people, and it's harder for you to see other people as human beings. And that's the only way you're going to connect with enough people to build the team that you need to in order to be successful. So drop the victimhood mindset. I also have a section in there about hacking your subconscious. So your subconscious mind guides your waking thought and your conscious thought. And it's really about you deliberately using techniques like journaling. I journal every day. I write down. I say my journal is, you go to a restaurant and you have a menu of things that you can order. My journal is my menu for the universe, and I order a lot of stuff. I order a lot of stuff daily, like everything I can. I want this. I want this. I want this. I want this. So I journal every single day, and that prepares my mind for the day to say, okay, one of the things that I write in my journal every single day is today is my dominant intent to look good, think good, and be positive. And generally, those are the way my days go now. I can't remember the last bad day I had. I had days where I'm tired, but where I'm just like, oh, this day was a wash. This day was a dub. I can't tell you last time I had a day like that, especially since I started journaling. So journaling hacks your subconscious. And then you have pictures. So picture meditation. So the picture meditation, people think that meditation is just like, you just sit in silence and that. There are a lot of ways that you can meditate. One of the things you can do is meditate on pictures. So picture meditation allows you to visualize the things that you want. I think that social media is great for that. There are a lot of places that you can go to find people doing the things that you want to do. And the great thing about it is that, like I said earlier, on social media and on internet in general, a lot of people are showing you their highlight reel. So you get to see the best of the best of the best in what it is that you're looking for. And when you see that somebody else has done it, you know that it's attainable. Part of the hard part of creating something new is that you don't know what it looks like in tangible form because it's never been done before. Pictures get that out of the way for you. They make it possible because it's like, hey, if somebody's taking a picture, then somebody's done it, which means that I can do it too because they have the same human capital available to you. So if you see a picture of something that somebody else has already done, best believe that you can do it too. So picture meditation is great for hacking your visualization, and then music for hacking your feelings. So music and your feelings in general, that's your GPS system your GPS to let you know that you're on track for what you want. Whenever you're feeling bad, you're not resonating and you're not aligned with what it is that you truly want. So one of the ways to get past that is music. And this is the example that I give a lot of times. Whenever you go to a club and you see a lot of people in there, everybody's having a good time, you hear that one song, everybody comes on the dance floor, right? Because everybody feels good about hearing that song. And then when you hear it outside of the club, you start dancing in your car, right? Imagine if you had a song that made you think about money, or made you think about an idea to get money, or brought a bunch of entrepreneurs in one area at the same time, or brought you $1 million idea. The thing about music is that it doesn't matter what you're using it for as long as it makes you feel good. If you have a song that makes you feel good, you tie it to an idea or you tie it to something that you want. When you start feeling good about something, the universe is conspiring to bring it to you. Listen, the universe is your best friend. A lot of people don't know this. A lot of people don't know that whenever you are smiling, whenever you are happy about something, the universe is conspiring to bring you whatever it is you're thinking about in that moment. And I'm telling you, the universe is super, super clutch. Very, very clutch, especially when you really believe that what you have visualized, what you want, is already here. When you pair that music with it, it just takes your manifestations to an elite level. Like, there have been, perfect example. So I'm moving to a new place in Midtown in May. And I started journaling about this place because it's next to the Muay Thai studio that I go to. So I started journaling about this place probably 3 weeks ago. 7 days after me journaling about it, on a whim, I just picked up the phone. I was going on a hike that day. I picked up the phone and I was like, hey, you know, I wanted to come by and look at, you know, I'm thinking about signing a lease over here. You know, do y'all have anything available? So she was like, yeah, we have some apartments available for this time frame. And we're doing a $99 look and lease special. I'm like, done. I'll be there today. I will be there today. And I went, signed the lease. I actually got the confirmation back the other day. My background check came back good, and we're super good. So I'm just like, yo, this is after only 6 days. I got an opportunity to get into the apartment that I wanted to, and it was at a reduced rate. Like, yeah, I could have gone in there at any time and paid like $500, but the universe is like, no, we got you for this 100. We gonna make sure you ain't got to pay too much. And in doing that, and the crazy thing about that is that had I not started selling my ebooks, I sell ebooks and stuff online too. Had I not been selling those, I wouldn't have been able to do it. And that also goes back to creating your own opportunities. Had I not created my own opportunities for my own expertise, I wouldn't have been able to do any of this. So that shows that, A, the universe is always conspiring for you. Always conspiring for you as long as you're feeling good. And the best way to do that is to pair your music with the things that you want to manifest. And 2, you must create your own opportunities. This course will help you do that. And then the other part of that section of section 2 is massive action. And that's basically just taking more action than the average person does. This is another principle from 10X rule. And when you do 10 times more manifesting, you do 10 times more visualization, journaling, you do 10 times more than the average person, your manifestations are going to come to you 10 times faster. Like it's just law. It just happens that way. You know, that's just what it is. And then part 3 is receiving. So receiving, in order for you to get the things that you want, you have to let go of the things that are in your life currently. You have to let go of the past. And remember, like I said earlier, everything that you have right now is an energetic residual of something that you've already done. So everything that you have right now is a collection of decisions that you've made in the past. And in order for you to receive whatever it is that you want in the future, you have to let that line of thinking go. It doesn't mean stop doing the things that you got here. It means stop being attached to the results of what got you here. Continue to do the work, but know that there's something bigger and better coming on. Also, releasing old traumas that are in your past that are blocking your blessings. A lot of people don't realize that we have a lot of pent up trauma that stops us from receiving the relationships, the money, anything that we want to manifest in our lives. Perfect example. So I didn't have the best relationship with my mom growing up. And I recently got to a point where I said to myself, I'm like, okay, and it had been coming in my head. And it was like, I was trying to run from it. And I was just like, not yet. I'm not ready to deal with this. But it's like my soul just kept talking to me. It was like, you know, you got to deal with this. You know, you got to deal with this. You know, you got to deal with this. I'm like, fine. All right. I guess I'll deal with it. So I have an exercise in the course called stationary. And basically what you do is you write a letter to somebody that you think has wronged you in the past. There's something that you're resentful of, somebody you're angry at. You write a letter to them. And when you write that letter, you should transition from anger/sadness to, what's the other parts? Anger, sadness to was it forgiveness? At the end, you should get to forgiveness. You transition through 3 different feelings, and you start at anger, you end at forgiveness. And in doing that, it allows you to release those feelings and release that trauma. And you go outside or wherever you want to do this, and you read the letter out loud to yourself and you burn it. And that releases that trauma, that negativity that's associated with whatever you were holding on to. And it opens you up to be able to receive everything else that you want, because the things that we hold on to take up space. It's just like when you go to somebody's house and they're a hoarder. You can't put anything anywhere because there's junk everywhere. Well, the same thing happens when we have trauma. Trauma is junk. Trauma is junk that's taking up place in our minds and in our hearts that stop us from receiving the things that we want. And that exercise specifically is to get rid of some of that emotional junk so that some new good things can come into your life and you can actually receive the things that you want. So that section is all about receiving, letting go of the past, not being tied to those results, not being tied to your trauma, and allowing yourself to let go. Letting go and receiving are 2 sides of the same coin. If you can't let go of something, you can't receive something new. So realizing that in order for you to receive all these things that you've been deliberately manifesting, you now have to let go. And when you let go, it's going to come to you. And I am perfect evidence of that. I've been having a lot of things that, have been coming to me after I'm just like, okay, this relationship is old. I'm going to let this go. And now it's like a lot of things are starting to come back full circle. And it's just like, okay, this is what I've been asking for. So, here we are. So that's on section 3. And then section 4 is just kind of like a resource section. Some of the things that I learned and the resources that I use to write the course, and just things I've used to improve myself. So that's the course in a nutshell. The course is $99.99. Trust me, it's well worth $100. You'll go out here and look at other LOA material. They sell their stuff for like $400 or $500, sometimes $1,000. I'm not trying to beat anybody over the head. I'm trying to help people get better. I'm trying to help people actually live a good life, because these are things I wish people had told me. And I know a lot of people don't correlate these things to everyday language and everyday thoughts and everyday speech. And it's really a game changer. A lot of small things add up until they become big things. And we don't realize that we are the sum total of every decision that we make, whether it's a good one or a bad one. And the more you continue to make a decision, the more it continues to grow in power. And when you get those negative ones, sometimes they avalanche until you find yourself in a position where it's like, I can't really come back from this. So having the forethought to know, okay, this is a negative thought that I'm having, let's cut that off. That's one of the things that the course teaches you. It teaches you to really be in control of your life, live a deliberate life, and be deliberate about the things that you do so that you can bring forth the things that you actually want versus what you don't want. So like I said, course is $99.99. You can find it on my Gumroad page. You can also find it on my website. My website is TaneiTheScienceGuy.com. There is a banner up there that has law of attraction materials. It has all of my law of attraction materials. It has the course. I also have an ebook about practical hacks to the law of attraction using science, social media, and music. And that basically just tells you, how you're going to use different social media sites to manifest the life that you want with your smartphone. I have an audiobook version of it. I also have a new product called Good Morning Affirmations. Good Morning Affirmations is 60 affirmations, 15 in finance, romance, spirit, and fitness. So they're 5 minutes long. Put it on your phone, listen to it in the morning on your morning commute so you can get your day started right. And then I have the Manifest Destiny Starter Pack that has the Practical Hacks to Law of Attraction ebook, the audiobook, and the Good Morning Affirmations in it. I also have an Improving Health Materials banner on the website as well. That's where my juice fast is. So people that are wanting to look that up, that's also on my website as well. So yeah, just check me out, TaneiTheScienceGuy.com. That's where all my products are. That's also where my blog is. You get a lot of good free content there. A lot of things that I do on the weekends or I do during the week. Just providing value for people, level up your life, because these are things I'm doing to level up my own life. So yeah, you can check me out there.
Ladies and gentlemen, you've been taken down a journey of how to use science, social media, music, intention, the people around you to create a purpose-driven lifestyle, leveraging the law of attraction, courtesy of Tanei, the Science Guy. Now, go to his website, make sure you check out the course. And on behalf of Tanei, I'm Shadeed Eleazer, and this has been Conversational Currency. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you chose to be here with us. And for that, we appreciate you. Thank you so much for tuning in.